Hey everyone, looks like we've got some major news in the NFT world. Yuga Labs, creators of Bored Ape Yacht Club, are being investigated by the SEC. So first of all, if you don't know what the SEC is, the SEC is the US Securities and Exchange Commission. They are part of the US federal government, and their job is to protect investors, prevent market manipulation, and generally maintain order in investment markets. And if you don't know who Yuga Labs are major players in the Web3 space, Metaverse, NFT, crypto space, major supporters. And they are the creators of the Bored Ape Yacht Club and also the creators of Otherside, which is a massive Metaverse project. They also own Cryptopunks. They didn't create Cryptopunks, but they are now the owners of Cryptopunks, and they are major holders of APE Coin as well. APE Coin, of course, based on the Bored Ape Yacht Club IP. They're not officially the owners. There's a separate DAO that launched ApeCoin, but they are major holders of ApeCoin, and a lot of their value is based on the future expected value of ApeCoin. So the major question being asked here, we don't have an official release from the government, so we don't know exactly what they're focusing on or what they're questioning. But what the assumption is we're looking at, are the NFTs that have been sold by Yuga Labs, are they unregistered securities? And also, is ApeCoin an unregistered security? And if so, they would want to look at what's Yuga Labs' role in these, what's their responsibilities, what should they have done, and then after that, if they go that far and if they determine that they are unregistered securities and Yuga Labs was responsible for those, then they would have to work out a fine, or there might be some other kind of punishment involved. And if you don't know what securities are tradable financial assets. That's a fancy term, but basically what you can think of is like stocks on a stock exchange. That's what we're probably most all familiar with, like Tesla, Google. These are traded on a stock exchange. And in order for those to be traded, they have to be registered with the government before you can sell them to regular people. Now, you can sell them to other people sometimes without registration, but there's quite a few limits on that, usually like friends, family, or accredited investors. And an accredited investor, an example of that might be somebody who has like a high net worth, because then the government isn't as concerned about them maybe being taken advantage of or that sort of thing. So there's less protections involved for high net worth people, but there's a lot of controversy around that because it means that high net worth people are able to get into investments early, whereas your average person making maybe 30, 40, or $50,000 a year is not able to get in early into these same investments, and doesn't really seem fair that wealthy people get more opportunities than lower earning people. So now we've got a bit of background on Yuga Labs. Yuga Labs. Got a bit of background on Yuga Labs. They're the creators of Bored Ape Yacht Club and other major NFT Web3 projects. We understand what the SEC is. It's a US government agency that oversees stock trading, securities, investments, that sort of thing. We believe that they're looking into whether the NFTs sold by Yuga Labs or ApeCoin or both are unregistered securities. And the best way to think about securities on a very basic level is just comparing them to stocks that are sold on a stock exchange. Now let's take a look at what people are saying on Twitter. So you can see this story broke pretty recently, and all of the big accounts are covering it right now. Let's take a look. Farouk is a pretty well-known influencer in the Web3 space. He has over 300,000 followers, and he's saying that it was expected because they're one of the biggest companies to come out of this NFT Web3 space, and they did a $4 billion raise for their company on top of launching a token. It's not 100% accurate, but that's his thoughts on it. He's saying it's not really much of a surprise. I'd agree with that. I don't think there's a big surprise here that this eventually happened. It's just that it happened now. Satvik Sethi has a little bit more controversial take here. He's criticizing the SEC for going after Yuga Labs instead of politicians and major corporations and investment firms like Citadel and BlackRock, and saying that this is kind of proof that the SEC doesn't care about justice or consumer protection or financial regulation. They're just looking to protect traditional finance and make sure that Web3 and decentralized finance don't take off. There's a lot of good memes out there regarding it. Yuga Labs trying to get the SEC to end their investigation. Yikes. Jeff Roberts here. He's a lawyer and a crypto editor for Fortune magazine and Reuters and Decrypt. And he's saying, why doesn't the SEC do a rulemaking on what is and isn't a security? Because there's a lot of confusion around that, especially when it comes to NFTs. This is a newer market, newer technology that we're embracing in the Web3 world. And so Jeff is saying, why doesn't the SEC come out and tell us that NFTs are a security or they aren't a security, or what makes them a security? Be clear on this and make it black and white so that people can follow the law and the regulations and not just come out, 2 years later and try and enforce it. Let the businesses know ahead of time, give them advanced warning. Because businesses like Yuga Labs is a massive corporation at this stage, worth many billions of dollars. And so they're not trying to skirt the law. They're not trying to get away with anything. It's just that the regulation is not clear. So right now it's regulation by enforcement, which means that they're not telling people what the regulations are until it's too late and they come knocking on your door ready to enforce it. There's also a lot of really terrible takes out there in regards to this news, and it's usually from people who made a bunch of money, and they're not focused on the people who lost a bunch of money. So we've got one of those here. Daniel Got Hits here says, Yuga Labs literally turns a bunch of regular people, everyday people, into millionaires. SEC, we need to protect Americans from this. And it's got hundreds of likes, and people are loving this take. But it's just a bad take. The money didn't come from nowhere. The money came from people who lost a bunch of money. It's not that the money is created out of thin air. For somebody to become a millionaire, probably a bunch of people had to lose a lot of money. So takes like this, they're just really bad. They don't help the industry. They don't help anybody involved. Try to stay away from these kind of takes, in my opinion. They just don't make any sense. The money isn't coming out of nowhere. You have to have other people on the other side who lost that money that went into your pocket to make you a millionaire. Here's an interesting question from 1077.eth. He says, if Yuga Labs is under SEC investigation, does that mean apes and mutants will be delisted from OpenSea? I think it's highly unlikely, but it's something to think about, and that would change the game big time. The prices for these NFTs would drop dramatically if they were delisted from OpenSea, the biggest NFT marketplace. And I think if that happened, the prices of all NFTs would plummet. So just something to think about. Again, I think it's really unlikely, but it's a good question to come out. Here's some interesting information from Zach Guzman. He says that Yuga Labs is behind 5 of the top 8 NFT collections. So Bored Ape Yacht Club they created, Cryptopunks they bought, Other Deeds they created, Mutant Ape Yacht Club they created, and Meebits, which like Cryptopunks was created by Larva Labs and was acquired by Yuga Labs. So these projects account for more than 25% of the entire market cap of all NFT projects. And so he concludes that the SEC going after Yuga Labs is the SEC straight up going after NFTs, because Yuga Labs essentially is NFTs. If Yuga Labs fails, NFTs fail. Lunar Crush is reporting that the Ape Coin social engagements are up over 170% with this news. Unfortunately, that did not help the price. The price was around $5.15, and then the news broke and it fell off a cliff, down about 10 to 12% on the day, about trading around down 10.79% at $4.68. So that wasn't very good. But when you start to zoom out, it starts to not look so bad. 7-day chart still looks pretty bad, fell off a cliff, but when we keep going out a month, it's not too bad. I don't even think we've hit the monthly lows. Let's see. Monthly lows are 459, so we're not at the monthly lows yet. And when you keep going out 3 months, 1 year, at the 1 year mark, you can see that it's actually starting to not look too bad. It's a pretty small amount. So overall, you can see now it's showing down 11%. Overall, not good for the price, but not as bad as it looks when you just look at the 1-day chart. That's a painful 1-day chart. So there's a lot to keep an eye on here with this story. It is just a breaking story. We don't have a ton of information yet, so still some things to keep our eyes on. And there'll be much more coming, I'm sure, with official statements from the SEC probably expected. Overall, not great for people who hold Yuga Labs assets and ApeCoin, but not the end of the world either. It was expected to come. It's just that today's the day when the hammer dropped. Now, important to note is that this is really just not like an official charge or anything like that at this point. They're looking into it is what we know, but we don't know if they're actually preparing charges or formal accusations or things like that. So it's just something to keep an eye on. But again, totally expected. Everybody was ready for it who's been paying attention. And we'll see what comes of it. But a lot of interesting takes out there on Twitter. Some of them pretty interesting and pretty thoughtful. Some of them not so good. But in the meantime, we can all enjoy the memes. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment, and hopefully we'll be able to do a follow-up soon, and we'll see where this goes. Huge news, though, for the NFT and Web3 space. Definitely something we all have to keep an eye on. I hope you all have a great day, and I hope that this isn't the end of the NFT space, but let's just hold on and see what happens. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.